Okay, I hope that stays. All right, hey everyone, this is Tasha. That's weird talking about yourself in the third person. I am Tasha, and I'm your Simple Solutions Specialist, and you are live from the Smoky Mountain Homestead. So today I'm going to do something super easy. I always say that, I know I always say that, but this is really super easy. So roasted garlic, olive oil, and you can do a whole bunch of different combinations of that. Yeah, so what I used to use just regular bulb garlic, you know, but I've discovered that elephant garlic is way better. The flavor is phenomenal. It's amazing. So all I have here is the garlic, olive oil, and thyme leaves, dried thyme leaves. You can, I don't have any fresh, obviously, because 'tis not the season. Do you hear my Christmas music? So what we're gonna do is you're gonna cut off about the top, so much of it. So maybe the top of an elephant garlic, probably the top quarter of it. If you're gonna use just regular garlic, I would do maybe, what you wanna do is basically just expose the top of each clove, because you're gonna want that olive oil to go down inside of there. And I take off the outside, just the very outside layer of the garlic, of the skin, and then leave the rest of it on there to hold it on. But with the elephant garlic, it's not so much of an issue, but I'm gonna muscle it. So I'll show you. And then I have these pieces left over, so I give these to the chickens. So what you end up, see this guy didn't cut, so I need to cut him open. Just kind of, like I say, most of the stuff I do is not an exact science, because I don't have time for that. Actually, I do have time for that, but I just don't want to take the time to do it. How's that? Sticky. So that's what you end up with. See, I only cut off like the very tippy top of that. So that goes into my pan like so. Oh, and I have a glass lid that I'm going to use on this. The original directions that I had when I first started making this, like years ago, said to put it in a small dish. It would talk for 1 clove. Put it in a small dish and cover it with foil, or convert. You could also just stick it on a piece of foil and go like that. But what you're basically doing is wanting to keep the steam in there to open it up. And because we don't use foil, it's easier to just, and it's free, to just use the lid. So I do that. So I'm going to put these little pieces of garlic in the chicken bucket. And all this other stuff can go into the compost. So today I'm doing 2 cloves. This one, when I picked it, it like fell apart, which is really not a big deal when you're doing, but, hi honey. Oh, did their water freeze?
No.
Oh, so it's not a big deal when you're using elephant garlic. So I've got 1 big old fatty clove here. This one kind of looks dead. Let me see. Yeah, we're not going to use that one. I'm just going to cut off the edge of that, because I can lean these guys up against that other clove and it won't be such a big deal. If only in my dreams, oh yeah. Okay. The only thing with the elephant garlic is the stem in the middle of it is really tough to get through, but you kind of need that to keep the whole thing together. So yeah, it came out. Oh well. All right, see that? Those guys got cut just like that. He's a nerd. All right, so let's put these guys in here so they kind of stand uppy. And then these other pieces of garlic will go to the feather heads. Oh, my nose itches. All right, that's the most complicated part of this whole thing. Then, I don't know if you can see me. Here, I'll scoot over. All right, so then I'm just going to drizzle this with some olive oil. I like to put extra olive oil in the pan just because it gets all nice and yummies. That's that. Ooh, that's got olive oil on it. And then, if you have fresh thyme, that's even better. But if you don't, dried thyme is fine. Just remember that dried herbs are a lot more potent than fresh herbs. So you'll need to use a little bit less. So I just do like a pinch per clove, not clove, per head of garlic. And I just kind of just eyeball it. And if you really like thyme, use a little more. If not, or you know what, you could use rosemary, you could use whatever fresh herbs you've got or dried herbs that you really like. I really like sometimes doing using winter savory. That's really, really yummy too. So I'm going to stick the lid on this and I'm going to stick it in the oven at it's 400, but we're at a higher elevation, so I have to add a little bit or cook it longer, and our oven is stupid, so I have to add 50 degrees to it. But it's 400 degrees for about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on your elevation and your cooking apparatus. And then what you're wanting to look for is for the cloves to come popping out of their skins. And once they do that, you'll be able to just really easily peel the skins off. And then I'll be back and we'll show you what we're going to do. That was weird. It cut me off. You know, to go and buy yourself roasted garlic olive oil isn't cheap. So this is going to be a lot less expensive and super easy. The hardest part is waiting for it to roast. And then you can add, you know, the skins kind of get stuck to the pan, but totally worth it, you know. These make great Christmas presents. I actually gave some to my mother-in-law last year, I think it was, for Christmas. And my husband went down there to visit for his aunt passed away. So he went down there for the service, and he brought home the jar that I had given my mother-in-law, saying she has requested more garlic, a roasted garlic olive oil. I'm like, okay, that's easy enough. So there you go. Put your roasted garlic in the jars. Fill her up real high. This stuff is so easy. I love it. You know, I'm a big fan of, you know, when I think about it, you go, back in the day, I can't imagine they would have done things that would have been super, super complicated, except for maybe like special occasions, or, you know, if they're doing something like making corned beef or something like that, which takes like 10, 11 days, something like that. Other than that, I can't imagine them doing stuff that was super complicated. That's probably why their recipes were all super, super basic and easy. And a lot of their ingredients were kind of multi-purpose. So, yeah, and, you know, you could fill this up with your olive oil and then add, gosh, you could add fresh herbs to it, too, if you had some. So if you're using fresh herbs when you roast them, if you have extra, you can put some fresh ones in the jar before you put the lid on. Then you're going to want to let it sit for at least 2 weeks, but I need to refill this. I ran out of olive oil. At least 2 weeks. Best to let it sit for a month, because that really gives it some really good flavor. And you also we want to make sure that you do use a roasted garlic and not raw garlic. It's just too easy to have things go bad when you're doing the roasted fresh garlic. Although it sure would be pungent. But anyways, so this is how it turns out. That's it. So I label it with a Sharpie up on the top here, because I can just wash it off and then reuse it again. For roasted garlic olive oil, I use the same lids all the time, just because the lid will start to smell like garlic. I mean, they're not poor, but they start to smell like garlic. So best to use the same lid over and over again. And that's it. Super, super easy. Let it sit in the pantry for about a month. I usually let it sit there until I forget about it. Or I put the label on there, but still sometimes I forget about it. And I go back in there like a month and a half later, and I've got some amazing... and then you can, as you use it, you can keep adding more olive oil to it too. So it's multi-purpose until, you know, you just have to eat those roasted garlic little niblets. They're going to be so good. All right, that's it. Super easy. Go ahead and make you some and let me know what you used it in. That'd be great. Let's share some recipes. All right, peace out. Be the change.